So in this video we are going to be making a cheesecake. Let's start by lining the bottom up with a piece of parchment so it releases easier. So what I have in front of you is a 7-inch pan, or roughly about 16.5 centimeters. There are typically two ways of putting this in. I like having these pop up for a reason, because it's easier for you to slide something underneath like a knife to take it out, whereas this you're gonna have to dig in, so it's a little bit harder. So I'm gonna use this side instead. I'm gonna have this underneath. And I'm gonna close it. There you go. So to make the graham crust, in front of you I have graham crumbs, I have sugar, butter, and a little bit of salt. What I'm gonna do first is gonna melt the butter. With the butter melted, I'm gonna add my salt into the graham mixture, sugar. I'm gonna give it a mix. And then I'm gonna pour in my butter. And mix that thoroughly. So after this is nicely mixed, I'm going to add it into my springform pan. It's a little bit thick, but I prefer a lot of crust, so I'm just going to pat this down. And I'm going to bake it in a 350-degree oven for roughly 15 minutes. So to make the cheesecake portion, in front of you I have cream cheese, sugar, eggs, sour cream, and vanilla extract. First, I'm going to add my cream cheese. And then my sugar. I just pulse it a couple times first. I'm going to turn it on. I'm just going to make sure it's nice and smooth. As you can see, it's nicely mixed. There's no chunks. Now I'm going to add my eggs one at a time, and I'm going to stop the machine and scrape in between each addition. Next, I'm going to add my vanilla and my sour cream. Just going to give the food processor another nice mix so that everything's coming together nicely. And then again. So you should have a nice smooth batter ready to go, and then just make sure you scrape the side of the food processor to make sure that everything is evenly distributed and there's no clumps or there's nothing that's not mixed in together. Okay, now I'm going to remove the blade. I'm going to make sure I take all this batter. Don't want to waste it. Scrape it back into the food processor, and be careful, this is very, very sharp. Next, I'm just gonna pour my batter into my springform pan. I think it's just the right amount. It's a little bit scared there, but that's why I poured it into a stainless steel bowl first. But I think it is gonna be okay. Okay. Just give it a gentle shake just to even everything out. Little tap. Okay, it's gonna go in the oven. Now, just before it goes into the oven, I like to get a piece of foil, just in case. And then what I'm gonna do is, I'm gonna wrap my cheesecake so that water doesn't get in it. I'm just gonna fill up the pan with a little bit of water. And then normally I would do this when the cheesecake is in the oven, but for the video's sake, I'm gonna do it in front of you. It's gonna go into a 200-degree oven for roughly an hour. So we're going to make our strawberry sauce for our cheesecake. In front of you, we have some frozen strawberries. We have water, 2 sets of water, cornstarch, some sugar, some jam, and some lemon juice. Okay, to begin, I'm gonna add my large water, the larger amount of water in here. I'm gonna add my sugar. Going to add my strawberry jam. And this recipe is an adaptation of the Canada's Wonderland one. We just don't have certain ingredients like strawberry extract. I didn't want to use any food coloring, and I also added my own version by adding a little bit of lemon juice just to have a little bit of acidity in there as well. And then also we don't have modified cornstarch, so we use cornstarch instead. Okay, so I'm going to turn this on. Pretty straightforward. We have water, sugar, and jam. In my second water, I'm going to add my cornstarch and make a slurry with that. Okay, so it's coming to a boil. It has come to a boil. I'm going to add my cornstarch, water mixture. So it's going to thicken the batch itself. Just give it a stir. As soon as it comes to a boil like that, I want to turn it off right away. I'm going to add my frozen strawberries. Lemon juice. And then I'm just going to give it a stir. Now it doesn't look as good as the one in the Canada's Wonderland, simply because they add the food coloring in there. So if I add the red food coloring, I think it'll be okay. I mean, maybe we'll have to do that. Let's see. So even though we're not a big fan of the food coloring, but when I add in the red in there, that's going to look a little bit better in terms of the color. There you go. So this is our cheesecake, and it's been in the fridge overnight. What I'm gonna do first, I'm gonna release the cheesecake from the spring form. I have a butter knife. I'm just gonna gently run this butter knife around the edges. I'm gonna release this just to make sure when I release the spring form, I'm just gonna run my butter knife along the edges one last time, just so that it can remove easily. There you go. can also lift up. There's a pie plate at the bottom of the pie plate, but the bottom of the spring form you can remove as well. And then I'm gonna dip my French knife. I'm gonna run it right down the middle. Now every time I slice my cheesecake, I'm gonna dip the knife back in the hot water and give it a wipe. Give it a wipe. And half again. Oh wait. Dip. There you go.